Hello everyone. I just spent the last few hours looking at everything the new fish does, the Xiphactinus. I'll call it the X-fish or just fish throughout the whole video because it's easier. And let's get right into it. So the wild Xiphactinus is actually one of the best things they've ever added to the game because it will attack other sea creatures, which is something that's been missing in Ark forever, especially on the island. I don't know about the later maps. But the spawns never cycle because everything in the ocean just seems to eat only survivors and not each other. So this will cycle spawns and make it so everything in the ocean doesn't just only attack you. To tame one of these, it's a normal knockout tame using trank arrows. If it doesn't heal off of killing something, you might be able to accidentally kill it by tranking it too much. So just to be sure, maybe bring some of the harpoons with the trank spear bolts. They do much more torpor per like the amount of damage they do compared to a crossbow with trank arrows. And to tame it, it takes superior kibble, and to tame a 150, it looked like it would take about 11 or 12 superior kibble. Once you tame the X-fish, you equip a saddle onto it, and it seems to be a little bit faster than a dolphin actually, which is pretty surprising. And also it has this little dash, so that definitely makes it faster than the dolphin. And with this dash, you can actually do a lot of things. The less significant things is you can jump out of the water like this, which is just really cool. And I was wondering what would happen if you jump out of water onto land. Does the fish just insta-die like every other tame? But this is what happens actually. You can just flop around like a fish. And you get about 20 seconds on land to do whatever you want. Looks like you can attack still. You cannot dash. I'm pressing jump to flop around really far. And once the time runs out on your time on land, you will start losing health pretty rapidly. But you still have a long time, so I don't know where this will help out at. If you have to like cross a little landmass, this will definitely help. The one cool thing is that you can take this fish into the rivers from the ocean, because a lot of the times the rivers are blocked off, but this fish can do it. Lastly, for its mobility, you can press C to descend, which is crouch, so probably like right stick on your controllers, and then spacebar, which is jump, to ascend. And it's really buggy. You can see that I keep rubber banding back, but it works. I'm clearly going up and down. When it comes to this fish's attack, it has a kind of low base damage of 23, but it has a crazy fast attack speed, so that definitely makes up for it. Also, this thing gets pack buff, so I'll talk about that later. But this thing's attack speed is so fast that if you're clicking on your mouse or on your controller as fast as you can, you actually cannot, I mean, unless you're cracked, you cannot get the full potential of its bite. You have to have some kind of auto clicker to attack as fast as possible. I timed myself for 15 seconds and was able to do like 31 bites by myself, and my finger was very tired after doing it. And when using an auto clicker, I was able to attack 36 times in 15 seconds. So if you're using this fish, get an auto clicker so you can just do as much DPS as possible. Secondary attack is the dash that I was saying, and you can actually grab smaller dinos like this and then shake them by pressing your primary click to get them down to low health. And once they're down to low health, they just explode like that. You can do this to player dinos. If someone's riding a manta or an ichthy for some reason, you can do the same thing. But you got to get the health down really low to actually make them explode. And I don't know why the damage number is so high. It's actually pretty irrelevant because they got to be down to really low health to just explode like this. And it usually takes them a few tries to do it. I don't know if it's like missing the hitbox or it's just like a chance thing. So when you attack something too big to carry, you apply Gnashed to it, the status effect. It's really hard to do. It doesn't proc every time, just I think because of hitboxes. And you can see there, it's bleeding the shark. And calling it bleeding is incorrect. It does not actually bleed like Carnos and Thylas do when they apply the Gnash status effect. It's just a dot damage. And it's not bleed because it can be reduced by armor and mate boost, and I didn't test it, but I'm sure imprint, since everything else reduces it. But what this does is when your X-Fish is at 600% melee, it caps out the damage of this dot damage, and it will do 3% of the target's max health over 5 seconds. If your X-Fish has any less melee than that, then it will do less damage on the dot. Say it has 200% melee, it will do a third of what it could do when it's at 600% melee, since the scaling for it is very linear. So when you're leveling your X-Fish, I would get it to at least 600% melee, and then level health mostly. They don't have the best health, but it's not like bad at all. Like honestly, it's pretty similar to a shark's, just a little bit worse. And then level weight and stamina as you see fit, if you need to carry stuff or you feel like you're stamming out too often. So as I said, this status effect actually is reduced with armor, so things like saddles will reduce it, and I'll show you that here. So this is just a prim saddle, and it will reduce the damage by like 25% when I finally get it to proc. And I think a cap saddle reduces it by like 55%, I tested. I'm very sure about that. I don't know why I said I think. You can see here it's doing 9 damage per tick since I have a saddle on him. But the good thing is that you can apply multiple of these at one time. Okay, you can see there, it was proccing at the same time, like that. Let's even do it again. He's doing 8. I'm doing 11. Or one of us is doing one or the other. Yeah, I think he was doing an 8, and I was doing 11. So they were both going off at the same time. So you can at least stack 2. I would assume you can stack more. I'm not sure. It'd be way too hard to tell that. But I am sure that you can just keep stacking them, because that seems to be in the thematic realm of this fish, because they are pack animals. You can see here they have the pack buff, and it is a max of 8 right here. So you need 9 to reach the 8 pack buff, and they'll all get it. Pack buff refreshes when when anything moves. So these guys weren't moving, and then I added some to it, so then it refreshes. Their pack buff range is very small, so they'll gain and lose it in your pack, which is not great because your damage and your damage reduction are affected by this pack boost. It's so crazy to me that that guy way up there is getting 8, and then like the other ones aren't. I don't know how it works, but it's weird. But you can see, let me get a crossbow, how much damage an 8 pack buff reduces. Sharks are like this also. They can get an 8 pack buff. So the crossbow does 95 damage, and then we will shoot this guy with the 8 pack buff. His 750 health. And then he only took 29 damage. So how much is that? Wait, I'm dumb. He did not take 29 damage. He took 19 damage. Let me redo that. So that's 80% damage reduction off of an 8 pack buff. And this thing will get a saddle, so that's more damage reduction, and then also you would definitely mate boost all of these, so that's even more damage reduction. Okay, so I have 8 pack buff, and I do 239 damage. Yeah, that's what it was earlier. So yeah, it's about a 35% damage buff. That's pretty good. So yeah, just being in a pack with these things just is crazy. This is probably a little bit more melee than you would have, but just look how fast this thing attacks. And then all these things attacking it. Let's just go at it. They're just crazy. Yeah, these things are pretty nuts. If you get saddles on all of them. They may or may not be good for PvP. They do the bleed damage to player tames, just as I explained. Any damage reduction reduces the dot damage, obviously. If I called it bleed, that's incorrect. You can pick player ichthyes and mantas, but you would have to do the shake attack to whittle them down for a very long time, which is just not realistic. They don't pick player tames, or they don't pick players, I mean. They do pick the ichthy and stuff, but they don't pick, like, if someone's on a squid and you do the dash attack, you won't pick a player. I'm not sure if you pick a player when they're just floating around, though. I need to try that. Okay, I have a player right here. They're wearing Prim Flak, and they have how much health? They have 640 health. And just watch this. You do pick them, and then you just destroy them immediately. I think if they had capped flak, it might take a few bites, but yeah, you just annihilate people that are in the water. The last part of this dash attack, you might have seen it up in the top right the entire time, but I'm getting a buff, and it is called Blood Frenzy. And anytime you do damage with this attack, it doesn't matter if it's the big or small tames, anytime you do damage, it will give you Blood Frenzy. And what it does is heal you very fast. You get 600 health in 35 seconds, and it will also drain your food. And there doesn't seem to be any way to increase how much health you get. It's just 600 flat health over 35 seconds, and I'm pretty sure you can just refresh it anytime, but you do the secondary attack, yeah, so you'll just keep healing. Basically 17 health per second. So the last thing, the spawn code for these is different than everything else in the game. I don't know why. This is the spawn code to spawn a wild 150. To change it to a tamed, you press that, you change that to a 1, so 1 is tamed, 0 is wild. And then this middle number is the level of it, so if I want a level 1500 tamed one, because it'll give you tame bonus, it'll be this, like that. So these guys are actually pretty good in PvE. They have pack bonus, they bleed, they heal. On paper, they're great, but when it comes to actually using them, if you don't have some really high health ones and really good, or like pretty decent saddles, you probably won't be able to take down a alpha mosasaur without losing a couple, because you would think that all your fish would do the dash and heal themselves, but they don't always. So they'll just not get the heal and then end up dying because they took too much damage, even with all the damage reduction. And it's really unfortunate. So if you get some really good ones, level them to 600% melee and probably like 10,000 health, I imagine you'll be able to take out alphas within just no time at all. Just decimate them. If you try it out, let me know. Let me know if you found out anything else about these guys that I missed. And just anything, like the video, subscribe. I don't say that much anymore, and I'll see you later.
Looking for the love.
You've accomplished what few have. You've ascended.